So, we're back with more Megamorphs action.
Yes. Back to the age of dinosaurs.
Back to the age of dinosaurs. The late Cretaceous specifically. Nothing concerning about that comet, but that volcano.
Volcano's very threatening.
You guys, nobody's going to get these references. We're going to have to do the whole first episode again so that they know, because they weren't just listening to
but
this.
What if this time, for the first episode, we started with chapter 14?
Okay, but secretly it's chapter 1. We all agree?
Yeah.
This is chapter 14?
Definitely.
Drop the 4, keep the 1.
All right, let's do it. Chapter 14, take it away. Miranda,
Eddie,
you're wasting
good old Eddie
valuable
Probst.
time.
Good old Eddie Probst. Okay, chapters.
Gotta dig deep.
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym KA Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddy.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Chapters 14 and 15. Bird boy Tobias rides atop the shoulder of human girl Rachel as they flee from a pack of Deinonychus. Tobias observes that these dinosaurs are intelligent hunters. The pack is split into 2 groups, one following and one flanking, each pursuing in triangle formation. Triangle!
Green.
They're good, but Tobias is better. He's able to direct Rachel where to go next and even identify the leader, a Deinonychus missing a portion of its tail.
The one wearing a fancy hat.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's the leader.
Once Rachel has safely gained some ground on the pack, Tobias asks her to stop. Rachel is exhausted, running on bloody bare feet. She vomits onto the... Does she? She vomits onto the ground. The predator in Tobias knows that even this is an advantage he can exploit. The Deinonychus will be drawn to the strange new smell. Tobias has a plan. First, Tobias asks Rachel to toss him up into a tree above the vomit. Please, high above. Then he instructs Rachel to morph into a grizzly bear and to flee. A minute later, the pack arrives. The leader sniffs the vomit, but doesn't step beneath the tree. A different Deinonychus, one with a scar down its back, walks directly below Tobias. He drops onto the dinosaur and absorbs the Deinonychus DNA. Then he morphs. Feathers stiffen and harden as if coated with rubber cement. His beak extends and becomes serrated like a saw. Tobias tries to remember that the point of this is to save Rachel. Fight the dinosaur mind, Tobias. Fight it! But oh, the power! The vivid, electric energy! The morph finishes. Suddenly, Tobias smells something. Prey. The prey roars. Tobias needs to catch up with his pack. He'll need to be fast, or else all the best meat will be taken.
Oh, no!
Yeah, dude, he's gotta chill.
That's what it's,
He's gotta
there's
chill.
a lot of good stuff in here. I just had a note at one point when he's acquiring the Deinonychus that just says, get his ass, Tobias. And I think that's like sort of the vibe of most of the chapter. Rachel has a good bit about not wanting to die as prey. She's like, as a grizzly bear, at least you can go down swinging. And I'm like, damn, that's some of the most Rachel shit to ever Rachel.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but have the thought, isn't it great that weird thing that happened that one time that the animal didn't get put into a trance when they acquired it didn't happen here? We're super lucky.
Yeah.
Well, their luck's been pretty bad in this book, so...
Yeah, they gotta get some slack somewhere.
Balance out. He gets so raptor horny. He's like, when he gets his claw, he's like, I love that claw.
The claw.
I pictured it ripping open. No. I shouldn't think these thoughts.
No. I have to save Rachel, but dinosaur stuff. It's so cool.
How close do you think he got to saying, the ecstasy? The ecstasy!
The ecstasy. I think he was more focused on the power. Once he got his kill, like once he found his prey, then I think he'd move on to the ecstasy. But right now it was just the power.
Yeah, it's more like he like, I don't know what it is. It's like when he gets it, because it's not ecstasy. could be power, but it's also like, but then that gives such like hard, like, oh man, he's such a Columbine character at this point. Like, it's like, is he like,
Oh, hang on. I
would
have
he
to
be a
chase the cat
trench?
away.
What was that?
I forgot to close the door.
Oh, okay. Pause.
I don't know if I would go Columbine, Chris.
I don't know, man. I bet you he gets a little older. He's probably wearing. We're gonna have to say this all again once Miranda gets back, because Miranda forgot that the cat could be an Animorph, an Andalite
Oh my God,
bandit,
you're right.
and
Yeah.
that would be critical.
Am I more Chapman or are you more?
Hold on,
Chapman?
no. Hold on. She can't hear you yet, and I have to chat. I have to admonish Miranda. That could have been an Andalite bandit, and our mission could be totally compromised. Okay.
Did you hear her?
Did you you should really be more careful, okay?
She was extremely offended at her ejection.
Who is the Chapman and who is the Visser 3 in this case, Chris? Am I Chapman and you're Visser 3? Or no, Miranda could be too.
I have to be Chapman.
Yeah, Miranda would have to,
because I'm on the call with
Visser
Visser 3.
Sense.
Okay.
But Chapman would have a cat like Cora.
Chris is obviously Visser 3, so I think that makes me the hologram of that
I forget
Visser
what they
3
call
Oh,
that
the Visser's
monster.
clip
The
show?
one that's
Where he just flips
I'll do it to your ear.
yeah. Visser's
You're the
show.
clip. You're the clip that they play to
I
terrify
hear
me.
you brought a clip. Yeah, and
You're in a new movie. Yeah.
This is of that thing eating a yerk out of an ear.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
All right. Roll
So
the clip.
sorry about the Fluffers McKitty.
Yes, let me set this up for you. All right.
So
So
where
back
were
to
we?
the book already. So
There's Eddy, you put a quote in here that I actually missed on both my first and second read, which is he stood no taller than a short man or a tall
I didn't
boy.
miss that.
Which
I didn't miss that.
I somehow missed.
I got that highlighted sitting in front of me right now. It's incredible. I wonder if she wrote it at the same time as the tall woman line.
Do you think it was helpful for the children reading this to have that?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, we all know how tall a tall woman is. We all know.
That's clear. But
yeah.
but sometimes a short man is only as tall as a tall boy. So like
Now
we've
I would
all
say
known a tall boy in our time.
short man Daniel Radcliffe, but at this time he would have still
That's
a
true.
child.
He's a short man.
Kendrick Lamar.
No taller than the
he was-
shortest. No taller than the shortest man on earth. And then cue the folksy guitar.
So, Eddy, you have a bit here about the predator and prey narrative that's going on throughout this book.
I really liked that we get this bit about Tobias. It's been an ongoing thread with Tobias that he was a bullied kid in high school. Mm-hmm. So he was kind of prey as a human, but now he's in this raptor form, this red-tailed hawk form. And he doesn't get to be, but he has to be predator. He has to hunt for his food. And he's always wrestling with that in these books that he's made that switch. And I feel like he's drawn to this Deinonychus morph for those reasons. And it brings up some interesting things about that part of his character.
Yeah, and I think when you, like, I've, obviously been thinking about the predator-prey narrative from the beginning, and we've talked about it, and I've probably said this before, but it's like, it makes sense that Tobias, who sort of was a prey character, and then had this, like, predator life thrust upon him,
So that's,
is finding his power in that, but still, he's, like, really drawn to Rachel, in whom that was, like, an innate strength that she had, and not only that she, like, that she innately is that way, but that she's so fucking good at it. Like, she really knows how to be in charge and attacking, and it's, like, really quite impressive, and I think it just adds a layer of depth to their relationship that I think is cool.
It's cool for them. I would argue that I don't know that she's actually good at it or extremely lucky. Like, she's definitely
it can be
good
hard
at
to tell
throwing-
the difference.
She's very good at jumping in front of the bus, but I worry for her. Well,
and she's really, it's also interesting for the two of them because it's Tobias and Cassie who get to be in their element more in this land.
Yes.
They kind of shift the power dynamics because it's Rachel.
Well, because essentially this whole thing happens in a zoo enclosure that is the late Cretaceous period.
True.
So, I'm just continue it.
I think I had one last thought on that which was just that all of the friction with the predator-prey thing, and it's been there with, like, Rachel being this aggressive person. And really, Tobias is the one who we get to hear sort of, like, wrestle with those two roles the most. But if Cassie is the non-violent person, she's the one who's always trying to find some other way to resolve these conflicts. And I feel like that should create more fun friction between her and Rachel. And maybe that's coming, but I feel like I want to see the argument where one of them can no longer just suppress that the other one is so different. And I want to see some of that friction between them. Because I think it would make
You want women to fight women? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I do.
You want to tear a woman down rather than watch them flourish together?
Specifically, that's what I'm requesting,
In this instance,
That is so nuts.
I think it would make their relationship more interesting. And I feel like we don't...
Yes, because relationships exist to be interesting, right? Yeah.
For me, they do.
Narratively, they do.
Yeah, but also, no. Like, we just want our kids to be happy, Ed.
No, that's not why you read the Animorphs.
That's definitely not why you read the Animorphs.
No, you read the Animorphs to find out whether or not they succeeded. But, you know... I don't need all the kids to be fighting. They can battle the Yeerks. Have you ever watched Star Trek? Anyway.
Succeeded in having conflict-free friendships? Is that the...
That's what we're all here to do. We're all here to avoid conflict, you idiot.
All right, chapter 16?
Chapter 16. Jake wakes up after a few hours of sleep. He and the others notice that the comet passing through the sky keeps getting bigger. Ain't that something? Axe is sure it's going to miss them. Low on the horizon to the north, Jake sees sudden flashes of light, a tiny stab of red, then a flash like the sun exploding high up above them. Before Jake and the others can figure out what they're seeing, a herd of long-necked dinosaurs, followed by a T-Rex, comes charging through their camp. A stampede! Jake runs into the enormous leg of one of the long-necked dinosaurs, then stands beneath the dinosaur as it is killed by the T-Rex. He curls up into a ball, terrified. What morph did he have that could save him in this instance? He wasn't meant to survive in this world. The long-necked dinosaur collapses right onto Jake.
All right, so quick thing that happens early on in this book in this chapter is that Axe says that his time sense has now recalibrated to the current rotation of the planet.
It's this is
the first time we've been told that the time sense has to do with the rotation of the planet, which would make it, if I'm not wrong, completely useless in space.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Like, it's basically like it makes no sense what they put forward here, and it makes Axe's ability less powerful than it had been in previous...
Right, and also, is the morph limit 2 hours of whatever planet you're on, or did it just so happen to luckily coincide with two modern-day Earth hours in the rotation of our planet? And it was just like, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's like 2 of your hours.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you just
But
broke
Elfangor
everything.
already knew.
Yeah.
Elfangor had just fallen. Well, no, he knew Earth, though. We know that now. So he knows, but he didn't spend time there as an Andalite.
Also, how is there not a word for the amount of time that you're allowed to be a morph? If
There
it's
has
so
to be,
cultured,
yeah.
there has
it's
to be a
just the
fucking
morph
word.
limit. Like, there has to be, like, a word for this unit of time.
But if ever there was a moment to invent a word, guys,
But
that's
like
where
he says,
that's
one
gonna
of the
be.
current hours and 52 minutes, and I'm like, Elfangor fell to Earth and immediately told them, you can only stay in morph for 2 hours.
Do you think he was
How did
like,
he adjust to the time sense that fast, or did he know it from his time in the Andalite Chronicles? But he immediately became a Nothlit when he came to Earth, didn't he?
Yeah.
I guess he spent enough time here to get his time sense calibrated, but like, I don't know. It's fine. That's it. That's all I have.
No, I think you're
Also, stop
100%
killing our
right.
children.
Yeah.
Oh, and I owe you an apology, Eddy. There were 7 variants of the Megamorphs 2 cover, and some of them did have dinosaurs on it, and I called you out and said there's no dinosaurs on this book, but it's just the version that we have that doesn't have dinosaurs, so you could have seen one with dinosaurs.
It's possible. If there was ever someone to see something with dinosaurs on it.
Wait, there's seriously 7 covers? Why are there 7 covers?
Versions, yeah. Because
wow,
apparently it was
the
a
90s,
giant
dude.
event. It came out over the summer, and it was like a giant marketing push.
That's awesome.
Oh,
God, I wish I had been paying attention.
interesting.
It was 1998.
What was Jake doing that he was away from the group and saw those flashes in the sky? He was pissing.
Pissing.
What's that
I
about?
think peeing.
Why?
I think peeing.
I think it says he was peeing.
It says he was peeing.
He says he has to go
doing his
relieve
business.
himself. Yeah.
It's gotta be pissing.
Personally, I wouldn't be paying enough attention to the sky while I was pooping to notice a bright flash of light.
Do you think he pulled out his Apple Newton and responded to memos or he pulled out his PDA and checked his contacts?
I thought pooping because I thought maybe the T-Rex upset his tummy.
Oh.
What? No.
That does
gives
make
you the
sense.
runs.
You would
They
not
always
be
say
able to...
Well, no. What they say is when you see a T-Rex, you start running.
Oh, is that what they
say.
meant?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Somebody looked into the levels of radiation that would have been like on the planet at this moment and like whether or not that meat was even safe to consume. And I don't remember what they concluded, but it definitely would have upset their tummy.
Well, they already got nuked, so. And
Yeah,
Cassie
true,
bled
they're
from her
fine.
eyes. Yeah.
Chapter
Yep.
17.
Well,
Chapter 17. Grizzly Bear Rachel is surrounded by the herds of Deinani cusses, Deinani swear words. Her only hope is that the dinosaurs would be put off by unknown prey, which she currently is. She hopes that at least Tobias is safe up in his tree. He loves that tree. Can't get him out of it. Two of the Deinani curse words attack. Rachel manages to kill one, causing the others to back away for a moment while they consider who's their new leader. Then the leader of the pack, freshly elected, chirping like a songbird, tells the pack to close in. They're ready to lose a few of their number in order to take Rachel down. And then a new Deinani swear shit word bird arrives, surprising the leader of the pack. I wish I could remember how that song goes. Something isn't right. The new dinosaur leaps at Rachel, not following the rest of the pack. This one's a free spirit. The Dharma to her Greg. Damn it, the Dharma to her Greg. He slashes, injuring Rachel, and then it's immediately reprimanded by the leader for challenging the leader's dominance. This new dinosaur is Tobias, Rachel realizes. It's gotta be him. She identifies him by the piece of her leotard still tied around his leg. How convenient. And the Casio watch on his other leg.
Forgot about the Tobias watch.
Because it's not like we've established that clothing morphs with the person morphing. Wow.
Oh, that's a good point.
Good point. Because it's not like we've established that clothing morphs with the person morphing or anything. Rachel realizes that Tobias must have lost control of his morph. She calls out Tobias using thought speak, again and again, without any effect. He's not picking up. He continues to fight the other dinosaur until they're dinosaurs. I didn't get that at all. Until finally Tobias is victorious. He-rah. Tobias cries out, he-re-rah-ha-ya. The other Dyna curse words bow to their new leader, and then they turn to Tobias to face Rachel. They turn with Tobias. This part isn't in Comic Sans, I'll have you know. To face Rachel. She fights to hold her wound shut. Tobias, you are human, Rachel insists. You are human. Get control of the morph. But no, that's wrong, isn't it? Tobias, you're a hawk, she says. You're a red-tailed hawk. Remember your wings. Remember flying on the thermals. Tobias's jaw is inches away from Rachel when he stops. He shudders. Hey, when'd you get here, Rachel? He says aloud.
I can't believe I didn't go for a Deinonychus joke.
Deinonychus.
Until now, I didn't even think of it
Is that
until
the
you went
gash?
with
Oh my God, that's so good.
Deinonychus curse word, and I was like, I can't believe I haven't gone for that Deinonychus.
Deinonychus. Well, the gash in this one is, if you're going there, Ed.
He does rip her open. That's true.
Yeah, he foreshadowed that mere chapters ago. It's pretty
with the beak at her stomach. You're so right.
It's pretty.
This was done with his toe claw, but
and also he talked about how excited about that toe he was, and
that's
how much he was excited to do about it.
I will never get over Tobias not coming back to himself until she acknowledges that he's a hawk and not a human. But there's not too much else that happens in this chapter other than the fact that Tobias loses his goddamn dinosaur mind. But other than that, I just love to see the hierarchy be challenged.
Something that Rachel says while the Dino-Cussies are Deinonycussies, while we were watching them as Rachel through her eyes and interpreting their dangerous dance of attack, she says like it almost seemed eerily rehearsed. And I'm wondering if this is a harebrained theory, this is like way out there, but it's like what if she's nervous that this has all been orchestrated by Visser 3 and that Visser 3 would have trained them all to dance in some sort of dino-themed musical, like a Cretaceous chorus line.
God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it.
Or the Lizard of Oz. Or Sunday in the Jurassic Park with George.
That's the one. Now,
I really love the idea, though, of like the lower on the totem pole scavenger, like pack predators, like, well, not like they kill their prey, but like the lower on the totem pole Deinonycussies being like, God, I hope I get it. Like I get some meat. Like, I hope they let me eat today.
I get the reference. Yeah.
A prequel to Chapman's Hork-Bajir musical, then. Is that what we think?
Yo, because it has to be a prequel, right? Foot sharp, arm sharp. That's so good.
I still think about that like every day.
So, like, another thing that is wild is like this event with like this event between Tobias and Rachel. If we're reading it all as like an arc of like a really bizarre, messed up rom-com, it's a weird part of the movie, right? It's a weird part of their like it's just got a certain like, oh, he turns into something energy and he doesn't have reason kind of thing. It's like,
oh no, I get it. It's like we met his old friends and he started acting like an asshole. You know what I mean?
Something
and I had
like
to remind him that he's not that person anymore.
Exactly. There's some like underlying rom-com trope here that I feel like is so deeply ingrained in my brain that I can't quite put my...
It's like they get there and the Deinonycuses are like, so is this your girlfriend? And he's like, haha, what? No, like we're just hanging out. And she's like, hey, that really like undermined my feelings. And you said that you weren't going to be like that anymore. And he's like, I can't believe I brought you to my hometown and I thought things were going to be different. She's like, They can be different if you remember who you are, who you've worked hard to be.
Yes. So are we saying that Tobias being too pathetic to resist the Deinonychus brain is a character flaw on his part?
No. I'm saying that him going with the Deinonychus brain is echoing when straight men fall into that negative bro type behavior when they get around the straight men they grew up with.
Yes.
And they start treating their partner worse around them, and like we have to hold them to account. Yeah. And like bashing your partner is not cool.
This is like Grease Lightning in Greece, right? This is
like I don't remember that song serving that purpose, but I'm not going to say
honestly, but I'm just trying to speak the language of my co-host who's speaking musical references.
Or like to put it in more like immediately tangible like terms. It's like how when Eddy ever goes back to Harrisburg, he immediately starts suggesting that all the women characters in the books he's reading start fighting. It's kind of like that.
You're hitting me while I'm down. My internet is down, Chris. Okay, so.
You should have heard what I said when you were disconnected.
Oh, I'm sure.
Chapter 18?
Yeah.
Level 18?
Yeah. Let's do it. Take it away, Miranda.
4 stamp, 4 strength, leather belt. Okay.
All right.
It's a deep cut. Don't worry about it. Chapter 18.
Just like the one that Tobias just gave Rachel.
We return
First
to
cut
Jake.
is the deepest.
We return to Jake just as the long-necked dinosaur collapses onto him. His legs become trapped beneath the creature. Cassie cries out to Jake, asking where he is. He doesn't answer. He wants her to save herself, though at the same time, Jake is feverishly panicked, shaking with fear. He admits that he also wants to beg Cassie to save him. The T-Rex begins to devour the dinosaur, pinning Jake to the earth. So this is really, eventually it's not going to be a problem anymore. Yanking at the meat. This creates a brief opportunity for Jake to escape. Yanking at the meat. Wild phrase. As the Tyrannosaurus lifts the dead dinosaur off the ground, Jake manages to pull himself free, though he falls to the
Ed has urges just like any other
though he falls to the ground the moment after because his legs are completely numb. Suddenly, teeth close around Jake. The T-Rex has trapped him within its jaw. He is largely uninjured, though he will soon be either crushed or swallowed. two of my favorite things. Jake's known legs are already slipping down the T-Rex's throat. He is covered with sticky saliva, suffocating on foul air.
Let me just be clear, because I didn't say this in the description. The yanking actually continues through all of this.
Jake, thinking fast, grabs hold of the T-Rex's tongue and begins to acquire its DNA, putting the creature into a trance-like state. Then Jake worms his way down the throat before beginning to morph, really playing tonsil hockey. The T-Rex coughs, its throat spasms. Just like that, Jake spat out onto the ground once more. The T-Rex appears to be incapacitated, moaning on the ground. Jake finds the others at the campfire. They all return to acquire the T-Rex, just before Jake finally collapses from exhaustion, falling into the arms of his friends.
I'm sorry.
I'm really sorry.
I'm so sorry. But here's the thing. Even in the last chapter, with all the descriptions of the Deinonychus, he's like just moving around and like doing the things. There's all this like the tail was erect. There's all this language about being like, I don't know, and
they're all trapped and damp and crushed and like
and we did this earlier in the book, and it's just like it is just fetish content.
It's not. It's really not.
It's not.
I mean, it could be, but like, I'm not saying the people who write dinosaur erotica definitely read this book, but I am saying they should to inform their choices going forward.
I'm not saying it's full on dinosaur erotica. I'm just saying like, whoa,
that's
like,
Dinotopia.
This is a wild.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say, acquiring and morphing and screaming in terror is a thing that Jake says as he's like clutching onto the T-Rex's tongue. And I need that to be the new I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm throwing up. I'm acquiring, I'm morphing, I'm screaming in terror.
I'm acquiring, I'm morphing, I'm screaming in terror.
Just also the T-Rex, like, we don't know what happens to this T-Rex, but it seems like Jake really ruptured something.
Yeah, it's not good. He's got
gross.
to bleed or
It's down for
something.
the count.
It's not good.
Down for the count.
I
It's like
will
he
say, the scene of them all sadly and uncomfortably approaching the T-Rex to acquire the morph is like...
Which has not died yet. It has not died yet. It's laying there incapacitated.
Yeah, because it has to be alive for them to acquire it. And they all just sort of like walk up to it. I guess it's technically, I think at the beginning of the next chapter, they all just like touch it. Like, and then he...
No, that's there
it
at the
is
end,
here.
Yeah.
It is at the end of this. But also, can I say... Jake has been worried since book 11, really since the beginning, since they made him like quote unquote leader, but like since book 11, that if he failed, that would be the end of everything. And in this, he passes out and his friends literally all just catch him with their literal physical arms. Like it's a nice so moment. Cute.
It's
like,
cute.
I don't think I understood until later that this whole scene happens in like the pitch black, and I think it should have been so much more terrifying. Like I think they should, because I read it and I kind of felt like Jake could mostly see things, but
yeah, and in the middle of a stampede. I think because we switch, so there's two very high tension moments going on,
right?
And it's hard to hold them both in your head.
Yeah,
and so switching back and forth between the Rachel and Tobias tense moment with the Deinonychuses and the stampede that's going on over here that really we barely get described. We get it described that it's happening, and then Jake is caught.
Yeah, because Jake basically misses all of it, kind of like Bilbo at the end of The Hobbit, where
right?
It's like he gets conked on the head while the fight's happening.
He wants everybody to run away, but we're like, why can't they save him? And it's like, oh, because there's still a literal stampede happening around him. It's not safe for them to go try to save him.
Right.
Yeah.
God, what a way to go! You know, imagine
it would have been cool.
Imagine eating a little guy, you know, just taking a chomp around a little guy, and then the little guy like punches you in the larynx
He actually
inside your
morphs
throat.
inside the throat. I think he's morphing into a T-Rex. Is it clear?
Yeah.
What he's
Right.
I think so. He doesn't really say, but I assume that's what he's morphing.
We gotta give Jake his flowers for keeping a cool head here and tearing this T-Rex out, like, open from the... It's two dinosaurs, at least, in this, that they kill from the inside
like cousin,
out.
like son.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's, Rachel did it earlier in the book.
I think they could keep doing this. I think they should be... Oh, why haven't they thought of this, actually? They should be morphing into flies or something, flying into their enemies' mouths, and then demorphing. Like, they could kill Visser 3.
Do you guys know about what happened pre-Endgame, post-Infinity War with what everybody's theory was on how they should beat Thanos. Do you guys know about the Ant-Man Thanos thing?
Oh,
No.
yes, I do know about this. Yeah.
That Ant-Man should shrink down, crawl up his asshole, and then turn giant.
Yeah.
Fix everything.
In a D&D game that I watched, like, one of the high-level wizards had a spell where they could, like, spawn a defense tower from a pebble. And they, like, managed to, like, kiss someone, work the pebble into their mouth.
Oh, my God.
And then cast the spell and kill them.
That's cool as hell.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I also feel like that probably could damage the person demorphing.
Their reputation? Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once you do that, people are going to think twice about kissing you.
You're talking about if you were a fly and you demorphed to your original form, you would be stabbed with shards of bone. That's true.
Yeah.
But in this case where you're getting eaten in your original form and morphing to a larger creature, it definitely works.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Chapter 19.
Okay. Chapter 19. Marco, Cassie, and Axe allow Jake to rest just for a bit before continuing on. Suddenly their camp is between an injured T-Rex and another dead dinosaur. Probably not the best idea to stick around there too long. They expect rain after all of yesterday's lightning, but the weather is surprisingly clear. Lightning, Axe says. That wasn't lightning. Or at least it certainly wasn't natural. He seems to think that they were witnessing combat of some sort. Though those flashes weren't from Draken beams, maybe some other highly advanced civilization. The four of them reach an enormous valley, hundreds of feet deep and miles across. Breathtaking, but not because of its natural beauty. No, within the valley, there are countless glittering buildings. Floating above the buildings is a spacecraft that looks a lot like a flying saucer.
Yeah, this is exciting.
This is a crazy chapter.
This is cool. This is the I re-looked this up because I remembered this from like something I read 10 years ago. It's the Silurian hypothesis, which is the question of would we be able to detect the evidence of high-level species that exist, like high-level civilization on our own planet with the tools we have today, kind of thing. Yeah, and so I got really excited when I thought we were going to see some data dinos, some
would've been
tech
cool.
triceratopses, some damn it, I don't remember any dinosaurs.
No, that's
Miranda
it.
Some
can edit those. You sound really cool,
PlayStation
Chris.
plesiosaurs. Yeah, exactly. This is a Marco chapter too. He gets really sassy with it. He
does.
The jokes are coming fast.
We also get a
chapter.
galumphing. He describes Jake as a galumphing, clumsy oaf. And he also says that anything that wants to kill Rachel would have to be meaner than Rachel, which is impossible.
Not
And
possible.
I love that
so
vibe.
Rachel is a 10 on the meanness scale.
He talks about
thing
mommy,
meaner
son.
than Rachel is
Mommy,
class.
son, and I like. There's so much, traditionally in classical mythology, Western mythology, the Greeks and Romans, they represented the sun as male and the moon as female. So what can this tell us about Marco? That he sees the sun as a maternal figure. And this is what I'm prepping for my Intro to Animorphs mythology class that I will be teaching at whatever college will have me.
Yes, it's a 204, right?
Yeah,
It's,
intro level class at 200.
Is it possible Marco just sees mommies
I don't
everywhere?
know how college works.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, he might just have a
yeah.
mommy sense.
Or he was about to invent. Oh, that would be baby son. I was gonna say he almost invented the
Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. Yeah,
I believe that, though. I could see that as a career point for him.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
he really so
Axe
many jokes.
describing the light and just being
why
like,
it's-
"Oh, I assumed you knew."
Everyone knew that it was artificial. Yeah,
And I really think it's a shame that no one has taught Axe what assuming makes out of you and me. You know what I
It
mean?
makes-
Like you would think that would be an early lesson.
I don't understand what happened with Axe spending. What was he reading? The encyclopedia? Like, he was doing so much reading, and it seems like he missed a whole bunch of history.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Which is that for most of human history, we wanted people to tell us when lightning happened and whether it was real or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
if
a
it was,
critical part of
we
it.
don't have a lot of fake lightning in the modern world.
No, no. Yeah. I liked Marco's Rachel impression. That was cute.
It was
I
cute.
liked, there's a Xena Warrior Princess. I've been watching again. I'm sorry. But
Did you see the clip I shared?
It's so good.
The other day?
Yeah. That's from way late in the season, though. That's from
okay.
way late in the or later in the show, so I didn't want to spoil anything for myself.
Yeah. So good flips, though. I'm hoping you get those good flips in the beginning, too.
You get those throughout the series. You're gonna love the show.
Oh, am I gonna watch?
It's so good. Definitely. It is that good. It is very good. Yeah.
I don't have really anything else to say except that I didn't really have ancient aliens on my Megamorphs bingo card, but I probably should have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and he describes the size of the dinosaurs as being cement truck sized, which I think
that's a good,
canonically, diegetically, we now understand that it is the children who have learned to, we knew it was Jake who thought this way, and we knew it was Tobias.
Oh, and we get Cassie yells at Axe to just tell them. Like,
yes, Cassie yells.
And, everybody's a little shaken by it. Yeah.
Yeah, for the sake of momentum, should we keep going?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Chapter 20 and 21, read by me. Tobias and Rachel continue their own journey, both suffering quite a bit from their injuries and starvation. Rachel is in a bad mood about Tobias cutting her when he was in Deinonychus Morph. Tobias is conflicted about the fact that he finds Rachel extremely attractive, even when she is dirtied and bloodied. I must have read this section too fast. What was the point? He asks. I don't understand.
What was the point is about him being a hawk. Don't worry, keep going.
Okay, thank you. How did you get that from that?
Why else would he say it?
Okay, but it wasn't on the page. Anyway, Tobias and Rachel scout for food. They find something similar to a coconut tree beside two triceratops and begin to collect the fruit. But then Tobias sees something moving past the tree that alarms him. Something coiled, almost like a handheld fan, only made of brightly patterned green and red skin. He alerts Rachel, and the two of them morph into Deinonychuses just to be safe. We learn that Rachel acquired that morph as well before they escaped the pack. As they morph, Tobias remembers what dinosaur looks like this. Spinosaurus. Smaller and weaker than a Tyrannosaurus, sure, but still threatening. Rachel says they can fight it. 1v2. She and Tobias can handle this. And then a second Spinosaurus arrives. Popcorn burb.
Cut to Rachel's perspective. She and Tobias attack, only for Rachel to immediately realize that they were outmatched. Yeah, no, she was wrong. Before they can flee, a new creature enters the scene. It walked on two legs, Rachel narrates. It was rough-textured, like it had really chapped skin. It was reddish in color. It had two big eyes and a small mouth, all of the same reddish-rust hue. It stood about 8 feet tall. It was carrying a weapon. It was not a dinosaur. The creature points the weapon at the Spinosaurus that Rachel had attacked, and without any flash or explosion, the Spinosaurus seems to fall asleep. The second Spinosaurus follows suit. You may not kill these creatures, the creature says, in rough, raspy, buzzing English. There are very few left. They are ours. All creatures are ours. All things are ours. The creature introduces itself as a member of the Nesk. It says that it has been observing Rachel and Tobias since the previous night, which means that it's already seen them morph. Not good. It tells them to demorph now, or else. Rachel recognizes something about the Nesk. It smells familiar. How could that be? The Nesk explains that its weapon had two settings. It could knock them unconscious, as it had with the Spinosaurus, or it could kill them. If Tobias and Rachel did not demorph, they would die. Rachel suddenly attacks the Nesk with her Deinonychus tail. She expects to just knock the creature over, but instead, it breaks in half, as if she'd cut through a tree. Huh? Then the lower half just dissolved into tens of thousands of tiny, squirming pieces. The upper half, however, maintained its shape, even aimed the weapon at Rachel. She bit into the hand, which then dissolved in her mouth. Then those tiny pieces began to sting her. Suddenly, she remembered the smell. The acrid smell of a tunnel. The stink of deadly automatons racing to tear me apart. Ants! The Nesk was made up of millions and millions of ants!
Ugh.
Yeah.
I have some problems with this. There's a couple problems. Initially,
came from space.
Well, that's fine. I don't care. There's amazing the things you'll just accept with this book. But Initially, Spinosaurus, I think, was as big as Tyrannosaurus Rex and was as big a threat. That's my memory of it. Secondly, the full context on the what was the point thing is he says, I looked at her with my hawk's eyes, and then describes her and then says, what was the point? And he's like, but she still looked great, even though she was like messy and dirty and like covered in blood or whatever. And I'm like, I could have a whole book about this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I could have a whole book about his emotional conflict about still wanting to be with Rachel, even though he is now a hawk. He does mention shrew-like mammals here. Just wanted to shout that out because Eddy said it was all dinos. But my biggest problem, the Nesk say they've been observing them since last night, and this is how they've learned their language, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. They do not have a big enough data pool to have developed this good an understanding of their language, especially because this is the first time they've heard them thought speak, which means that they were only hearing Rachel's half of all their conversations. So, like, to have a good enough understanding of the nouns they were using, let alone the syntax of the language, to be here. I mean, they say things like change to your other form instead of morph, and they're like, oh no, they know what morphing is. But when they talk, they say morph. So why wouldn't they just know the word morph? Cause your death is what they say. They don't threaten to kill them. They're like, I could cause your death. But why would they understand cause your death and not kill when they've almost certainly used the word kill? Like, it just, like, the sip. I'm sorry. I'm done. It's fine.
I agree with you,
trying to
Miranda.
say
Is it
no.
possible that they're also observing the other kids? I know it still doesn't change things that much, but is it possible they just know about all of the humans that are here?
The big one is
also-
planet. The big one is planet. They say planet. This planet is ours. And I don't see why any of the kids would have said planet. I just don't, because they don't think they're not on Earth. Maybe Axe. Maybe if they were observing Axe, they could have heard the word planet. But I don't understand why any of them would have said planet.
Well, maybe
That's my take.
We didn't get the whole scene, but maybe when Marco referred to Mommy's son, he then went through his whole mythology there. And
Out loud.
planet came up multiple times. So, yeah.
It is like not everything. Yeah, like I actually like this. I think it's kind of cool because if they're a hive thing, they could be anywhere, all spread about, and like we're laying the information across, and then it's like, oh yeah, like
I still think one night to gain this much understanding
these
of the
kids
language
never
is
really
a
shut
stretch.
up, you know,
Marco in particular.
like yeah. It's definitely a stretch, but if they are like a distributed computing thing, like I don't know, could teach, you know, like
well, and I
like it.
I
do like the scene. I do like it. I just feel like it's not possible.
Something tells me the Animorphs, KA Applegate's not going to have to answer to the Nesk ever again. So I think, like, she doesn't have to answer any of these questions.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure.
Because she tied them to ants, which are like
No,
dramatically a huge...
I know, but I just think she probably wasn't thinking everything through a whole bunch when she was.
I have no problem with this. I like I said, I don't think that this is perfect sci-fi crap to me. This is like they were
I don't know.
observing.
He says
together.
while, he says but, he says things that are, he uses can, which is a modal verb, which is like complex. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Now, I'm
just
not
like there's
saying-
a lot of complex language structures going on here that they just got over one night. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying that a second. I mean, I think it's very unlikely. I think we were surprised to get one new alien race. I don't think we're going to get a second in this book. But if we were, I think I'd probably prefer the second one to the Nesk.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll have to stay tuned to see if any more.
I mean, come on.
I find the other guys really boring. They just want to hang out.
What
and
other
eat
guys?
food.
We don't know what
Yeah.
that civilization was.
Yeah.
That could be the Nesk civilization. We don't know. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, when
Shall
we
we
saw
read
this
on and
lightning,
find out?
artificial lightning, I think they're probably at war with themselves.
Oh wait.
So.
So another thing that happens in here is they think that they're looking for food because while like Rachel's complaining about how Tobias attacked her,
That's true.
she's like also talking about how hungry she is, and Tobias is like, aren't there like fruits from this age? Blah blah blah, and he mentions dates, and Rachel starts talking about how Naomi her mother is
dating again.
and I thought that was just such a funny.
Yes,
thinking
and
about
I mean, we talked a lot about Cassie and Tobias getting to show some other colors. I feel like Rachel's whole like amateur stand-up comedian here, that was a lot of fun. So
it was
For sure.
We haven't heard her make dumb jokes before, so.
I'm not sure she was making jokes, to be quite honest. She sounds pissed.
She's under a
Oh,
lot
I
of
know.
stress.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
dates thing was kind of silly, though. Right?
Well, I kind of think she's kind of losing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
so
Yeah.
I know we want to move on. I have one last thing. I've thought about it this whole book. We talk a lot about Animorphs and Survivor on this podcast. I do think this book and Rachel craving food and fantasizing about different meals she could eat is the closest we'll actually get to Animorphs Survivor.
Which is why she won. We already know this.
Yeah.
The real thing is, how could
No, I'm just
Cassie
kidding.
not
I'm just
have
teasing.
like? How could Cassie have performed so poorly?
She has no
Given
chill.
what we now know.
She has no chill.
Okay.
Oh, they do love to, like, if you take too much of a lead, they'll get you out fast.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the camp dad. Or
She's the obvious camp dad, yeah.
Animorphs, our seasons are set after this happened, and they know how good Cassie is, so they have to get her out first.
Yeah.
We'll think about
we'll
it.
have to find out.
For season
Think
three.
about it. Shall we move on to chapter 22?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Cassie, Marco, Axe, and Jake debate how to approach the city they've discovered in the valley. Axe asks if they're certain this isn't some unknown chapter in human history, and Marco explains that no, we're a long way from seeing even the first primate. Well, Axe says they're not Andalites. Cassie offers to go investigate. She'll morph into an osprey and see what she can learn. Jake says they could all go, but Cassie says no. She hasn't even had time to process losing her best friend. And then last night, listening to Jake's terrified cries in the dark as he faced off with the T-Rex, Cassie just can't risk losing anyone else. Jake reassures Cassie that they will not lose anyone else. They morph into their various bird morphs and take flight into the valley. Axe remarks on how dangerous this period in history seems to be. How incredible it is that humans were ever able to evolve here. Cassie tells him that the dinosaurs were all gone by the time humans arrived. As they soar down into the valley, the four of them can better see the city below. I saw buildings that rose in steep, smooth sweeps like they'd grown from the bedrock, Cassie says. Windows were stuck in odd locations, some aiming out, others more like skylights, and there were fields planted with green and arranged in neat circles instead of rows. As we got closer, I could see creatures of some sort. They looked a little like large, very large crabs, only with shells in a wide array of colors. Deep blue, spring green, orange. And while on one side there was something very much like a large pincer, on the other side there was a pair of hands. Suddenly, something crashes into Cassie, sending her briefly tumbling through the air. A monstrous, bat-like creature with a long, bony head. More swoop down from caves in the valley wall. 6 total. And they're all flying right at the Animorphs.
They need to be nice to Cassie.
Yes, yeah.
She's like she's thinking about how she was worried about Jake dying during the thing. They needed Cassie. This is my firm line in the sand. If we're not nice to Cassie from here on out, I'm going to throw balloons everywhere.
Yeah.
She's freaking out.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to watch. There's, like, a lot of great little details, but mostly just, like, how earnestly she's worried about everybody. And, she's stressed. She's stressed.
Yeah, I'm starting to think she's a little bit more worried about Rachel, though, than Tobias.
I mean, I don't know that's... I mean, Rachel is her best friend. Let's be clear. It's not...
Yeah.
She had a
totally
more
get it,
active
actually.
role in her daily life, and so, like, thinking more about the fact that the person who had the bigger presence is going to be gone is not necessarily diminishing her feelings about Tobias being gone. She thinks that, maybe if they just go for a fly, maybe they'll feel better. And she's not wrong.
Yeah. Should we check out chapter 23? See if we can meet these new aliens?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much more to say there. She says something about she's like nervous when they see a civilization, and maybe it's because she trusts animals more than people.
I thought that was a segue. Keep going.
No,
I
I just like that she says that it's like, maybe I trust animals more than civilization, and I'm like, that checks with her. Like, that checks out. I like that vibe. I like the inherent concern we have. It's like every time we've met humans or a species advanced enough to build civilizations like this, we have run into problems.
Yeah. There are 2 things that I want to touch on really quickly. We don't have to talk about them really. this is where we get Axe talking about the sort of prehistory to Andalite civilization.
True.
I think I have it here. We too have not yet evolved by this point. In fact, I believe our planet is still wandering between two different stars, one of which will later go nova, but in such a way that the shockwave will, and then I think Marco
gets cut off.
Cuts him off, yeah. And then I think this is the chapter, I didn't make a note about this, is this where Cassie, when they're morphing into the birds, yeah, I think this is where you were talking about, actually, Miranda, that, like, being a bird makes so much more sense than being a human in this period. Like, it just felt right.
You have the quote in your notes.
I do?
If you want it. Yeah.
I've been right about the thermals.
I'd been right about the thermals. It felt good to be floating on a warm breeze. I know this seems crazy, but I somehow felt more at home in the osprey morph than my own human body. Humans just seem so totally out of place in this era. Yeah. Just
all
an
the while,
interesting
Marco is singing the Flintstones theme.
Yeah.
Which is very cute.
Yeah.
All right, now we're ready for chapter 23?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Tobias, still in Deinonychus morph, sees Rachel being attacked by the Nesk. He's learned his lesson and leaps into action, stomping on the ants rather than Rachel. But then an alien spacecraft appears and begins firing at Tobias and Rachel, a gleaming, elongated pyramid twice the size of a bug fighter. It's not a helpful measurement. The two of them flee, though Tobias notes that the ship appears to be missing on purpose, as if it was toying with him and Rachel or herding them towards something. Eventually, Tobias and Rachel have a choice: charge into a wall of the Nesk or leap off a cliff. They choose the cliff, falling into what appears to be an enormous valley. Tobias sees two creatures during his descent. The first belongs, a dinosaur that he recognizes, a tetradon.
Pteranodon.
Whatever. A pteranodon. I'm just proud I didn't pronounce the stupid
A dinosaur.
P. A fucking dinosaur. The other does not belong. A future dinosaur.
Dinosaurs
Also known as a peregrine dinosaur.
of the future. There's a really great line at the beginning of chapter 23 when he's stomping on the ants that I just want to highlight. I was stomping at a rate of several stomps per second. We don't really need to go into it. I did write a whole thing about what I think is a lawyer trying to get information out of an uncooperative witness that leads to this statement.
Can we read it, Miranda?
Sure, we can.
I haven't actually read it yet.
I was demonstrating stomps per second.
Do you want to be the lawyer or witness?
I'll be
do it.
the lawyer.
Okay. I'll be witness.
So, you stomped.
I stomped, yes.
I'll be the judge.
Okay. Would you say you were stomping? As in more than one stomp?
I guess so.
And the stomping, was it slow, fast?
I don't know.
How many stomps per second do you think it was?
What kind of question is that?
Just humor me, please.
I guess, like, several?
So you admit you were stomping at a rate of several stomps per second?
Judge, do I have to answer this?
Yes, you do.
Oh, Chris, you stole the show.
I don't know why they
will
were
allow
interrogating this man about his stomping, but it's just what it feels like to me.
Why mention that this elongated pyramid is larger? It's twice as big as a bug fighter.
I kind of think just to differentiate it.
It's
Yeah,
super
just
scary.
I think they know. So, like, Axe has said that it's not the Yerks because the flash was too blue. We kind of skipped over that, but like that random lightning flash, he was like, I would have thought it was the Yerks, but it was too blue. And also the Yerks don't exist yet. But like these two don't know about that, and they don't know that it couldn't be the Yerks. And so like they're like, oh, it's a giant ship that looks nothing like a bug fighter and is way bigger than a bug fighter. So it's like, this is not the Yerks.
And it's pointy, which means bad. It's a pyramid, right?
That's true. Pointy is bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I mean, it's pyramid shaped. It's not exactly pointy. You know,
It's got points.
That's true. Pyramids can have rounded edges. That can happen.
But
I mean,
based on what we know in this series, does it have points or does it have rounded edges?
Yeah.
Chris thinks it has rounded
right.
edges.
Chris is
Chapter
really losing
24.
it. Sure, I don't think there's too much else to say. The several stomps per second is really the most thing that
It's
got
really
me.
good. Yeah, I was demonstrating that entire time what that would sound like. I'm sure you'll have to edit around that. Yeah, all right.
Chapter 24. Jake, Cassie, Ax, and Marco find themselves pursued by pteranodons. But Jake has an idea. Maybe if he leads the gang toward the wall of this valley, they'll catch the strongest thermals and be able to escape their pursuers. Just as Jake reaches the cliff wall, however, 2 more dinosaurs come tumbling over the cliff above him. And then, as those dinosaurs fell, one of them grabbed onto a pteranodon, stretched its wings, and used the flying creature to slow its own fall. "Rachel," that creature cried, "get ready to grab something." "Tobias?" Jake said. He knew that voice, that thought-speak voice. It was the voice of a boy to whom he'd once bonded his destiny when they shared a paopu fruit. Deinonychus Rachel does manage to grab a pteranodon of her own and then crashes into a force field above the city at the bottom of the valley. Osprey Cassie lands there and hugs Deinonychus Rachel. The Animorphs are reunited. Rachel finally notices the city below her and asks if this could be the Nesk. Have Jake, Cassie, Ax, and Marco yet met the Nesk? Jake, Cassie, and Marco look to Ax. Ax sighs. "The fuck are you looking at me for?" Ax says. Period. Luckily, someone else answers. "No," a voice said. "The Nesk and the Mercora are not the same." And then the Mercora revealed themselves.
New alien just dropped.
Yeah.
I do want to highlight Eddy's inconsistent use of the Oxford comma.
Yep.
Just, it's a must for me. I know style guides
I
are
feel the
saying
same
it's
way.
antiquated, but
there should be a comma there. And there should be a comma.
I think really with all those names, I was just adding. I was like, oh wait, I forgot someone, and adding.
Oh
them in.
yeah.
Right, because the rules after a name, article, or word, you put a comma, right?
Or word.
Chris, are you bored? Do you not like this book? Why are you editing the document in such a
I
mischievous
realized
way?
with all our technical troubles that we have been sitting in a chair for over 2 hours.
It's
and
true.
I'm
It's true.
extremely
We meant to.
restless now
This was
without
supposed to be a
break.
real quick little thing, and we had some technical difficulties that you may have picked up on or may not have.
Yeah. How
Eddy,
interesting.
do we think that playing with string is the Animorphs version of a paopu fruit?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you.
Figured it out. I was originally writing a reference to the string, and I was like, well, string is kind of the paopu fruit of
It's kind of. I mean, string can be shaped like a star.
Yeah.
And then I would also ask, who in this scenario is Sora, and who is and do you think the other person is Riku or Kairi?
And really and truly, who's Goofy?
Who's Goofy?
Ax is Goofy.
Gosh.
Ax is Goofy, and Marco is Donald Duck, maybe?
I don't know.
Marco's
heal.
not wearing pants canonically.
Marco would
it's
heal.
true. It's just because it's Donald, right? Who's not
Donald
wearing
is the one who
pants.
doesn't wear pants.
Yeah,
it's true.
normally
I don't know. Do you
Jake
think?
is Donald Duck, but he's taken because he's Riku, I think, right?
Oh, you think he's Riku? I was going to say, do we really think Marco would use all his mana on Meteor and then not save any to heal us? Like, do we think that's something Marco would let happen to us?
He's not the mage. No. Yeah, you're right.
So this new alien species.
Oh, yeah, the Mercora.
I guess we don't know much about them
We'll
yet.
get into them. They're colorful crabs. We'll get into them next time.
Next episode. Yeah,
There was
I
a cute moment that I do want to hit, and it's just a thought experiment here. Because Marco's like, if I went back in time, I want to be. He's like, it's like that.
The very best.
I thought it was maybe just 6 or 7 million years. I was holding out hope that we'd find some primitive people. You know, like in that old movie, Quest for Fire? Only the Babe tribe, not the Hairy tribe. There would be this primitive tribe, and because of my superior knowledge, I would become their ruler. And Rachel makes a joke about, like, what? Like your superior knowledge of Spider-Man? They'd turn you into their pet monkey. And I really like this thought experiment of what would happen to the average everyday person who thinks they'd be like heralded as a god if they went back in time, but has no idea how any of the shit we use works and is out of shape. So is actually like not that, like he goes into a hunter-gatherer society and he's like, oh my God, I'm not in shape enough to fight and I don't know what plants are edible. And they're like, who is this large baby man?
There'd be a lot of hanging back and watching and like, okay, so you ate that though, and then they're like, stop yelling at me.
Also, I feel like they anticipated so many. KA anticipated so many video games that had not been released yet when she had them grab onto a flying dinosaur and then have to use that to kind of steer their way down.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
that happens a
Uncharted.
lot.
So many adventure
Yeah.
games do that, I feel like, after this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Also, the Mercora, only thing we've learned about them so far is they are polite.
And they
They
use thought
patiently
speech.
waited. Yeah, and they used thought suits. They patiently waited for the kids to finish their reunion
Right.
before revealing themselves, which
Yeah,
I think
sort
is very
of.
sweet.
Yeah.
We got a physical description of them last book, right? Last chapter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they're weird
And we
crab
learned
shaped
that they're
things
sort of a
Symmetrical.
crab
with
they're sort of
arms
a
on one side.
kind of a crab people. You
Yeah,
know?
I think of
they
them
look
as like Kingler, because
Right,
Kingler's
they
kind of
look-
got the one big claw and
Right,
then
they
the
look like crabs and they talk like people.
right.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
yeah.
crab people. Think about it all the time.
I think about it all the time.
I don't know. The skin kind of freaks me out. The
Oh,
shell.
No, I think about specifically that
South.
song.
I think about crab people. Crab.
What is this from?
Look
They
like
walk
crab. Talk
they
like
talk like people.
South Park. It's from South Park.
It's. I don't even remember what that episode was about. But I remember that song.
Unfortunately, it's not great.
Wow, is that Eddie trying to cast the spell?
Eddie is
at the
trying
end of the
to
episode?
cast the
Because you don't
spell.
have that power.
I feel like whenever
don't
you
have
two
that
start
power.
singing, it's like when the boop, 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 boop comes in. So
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.